BBC Nigeria Info. I'm Kala Dakuru Batabo. A very good morning to you. Now, I remember yesterday, because of the brevity of our time, we were not able to have a quality conversation with our guests, but we hopped on the conversation surrounding the political issue in Rivers State, which is about peace, reconciliation. And, we asked what was or what is the cost of this peace everybody's talking about. But today, we want to delve a little bit, we want to go deeper into the conversation. And I will introduce my guest shortly. But I'd like to remind you or ask you to recall that over the weekend, the cable had reported that their sources in the villa, that's the presidential villa, had said that the agreement came with 4 conditions. 1, no second term for the governor. 2, that the what do you call it now? Payments will be made to the lawmakers and then, of course, the former local government chairman, and there will be control of the local government by the camp of the FCT minister. Of course, by now, you know what we want to talk about this morning. So we want to look at these conditions. A lot of people have berated the suspended governor. They said, why did he do that? A lot of people are emotional about it. But we want to really look at the issues. Everybody have been calling for peace. Now we have peace. But it looks like the peace the peace did not come with justice for a lot of people. Joining me to have this conversation is a socio-political analyst. There's a lot of things. I do not have the time to introduce him, but I do. Eugene Abels joining us this morning. Good morning, sir. Eugene Abels, it's good to have you. Can you hear me very clearly?
I can hear you. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right. You've been following the reports from last week, Thursday. Reports of father and son coming back together. What do you make of this peace? Do you think this peace will hold this time? Because by January of 2024, there was the peace accord that the president brokered, but it did not last. Do you think this one would last? This one would hold?
I think this one will last because it originated between the actors. And I like to, there's something a lot of people have not seen. These past 2 years have been very traumatic for the father and for the son.
Okay.
Imagine if I've invested in Dakuru as you are there now, that I have invested in you, that tomorrow you own a station like yours.
Okay.
Even when we cut the back of your heart, you'll be bleeding. So if you notice, Fubara did not adopt the measures that a Wike would have adopted in his battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. And even Wike, though he was thrashing, but like he too was a bit careful, even though he was angry and he was not letting up by insisting and things should be done the way he wanted things to be done. Now, but for both parties, I think it's a learning curve that in their group that they lack CRM, conflict resolution mechanism. And this is so because of the Machiavellian approach to politics, where it's all about loyalty and it's only one king and nobody can say yes on that. Everybody must always take orders. But there's a human element in all of this. I remember when I ran into Ishi at a point in the heat of the quarrel. Ishi used to be the Korean local government.
Someone wants to yeah.
I said, okay, I said, why you they carry this? Why you they personalize this? Politics about interest. Why you personalize this thing? Say, my brother, even you did not believe Sim would become governor. We delivered 23 over 20. Today we are out. This is what we do for a profession. So you see, there's a human element. Even when I interacted on this other side too, said, look, we used to eat together. These people, I helped some of them here and there. So we shouldn't kill ourselves. So
if I understand you, if I understand you clearly, you're saying that this has been devastating for both camps.
Yes, it is. Imagine if me and you have a relationship. Imagine that I decided to invest in you to take you to own that station where you are today.
Okay.
If we quarrel tomorrow, you're human. There's some, even if when I've wronged you, there are aspects of you that I will say, I cannot slap this man publicly, despite the fact that because of what this man has done in my life. Do you understand me? And on the other hand, the father will be saying, I cannot kill this boy, because there are things we've done together. I know his wife, I know his children. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. Yes, on the public field, both camps have lost a lot. It's been quite traumatizing for them. And it opened room for busybodies like me to come in and take sides. You understand? Because, we couldn't shake Wike for 8 years. So when this came, the first shocker he received was when the state voted Labour. That was the first shocker, because he thought he had conquered the state. But when the elections came, your generation went for Labour. And so that was a big shocker in the political system of Rivers State. So, but I think we have not learned, we forgot what happened to Amechi because of where he stood against Jonathan. He brought 4 riverine candidates and they couldn't cross the hurdle because people turned their backs on them. So, in this politics with them, there's a learning curve that we can. Yes. They've taken, yes, it's painful politically. I think that instead of that meeting Sim had with his people, it should have been an enlarged meeting where Wike will have addressed everybody.
Okay, so I was getting there, Mr. Abels. I was getting there now. Now you've mentioned that it was devastating for both camps. When the
psychologically and economically.
Yes, and maybe politically as well. But when they went to the villa to meet the president, it felt like one side had victory. It felt like, one side gained the more. And if you've been listening to radio commentary, TV commentary, or even commentaries on social media, a lot of people are saying, the FCT minister is in control. Do you see the feasibility of these conditions as reported by certain newspapers? For instance, no second term, which is what was done to Amber Day in Lagos. Do you see the talk about controlling the local government, which, by the way, the 2 years political battle, the local government capture was part of it. Who controls the local government, talk about structure and no structure. Is it feasible, all of these conditions on the table of the suspended governor?
Everything is visible. Everything now is dependent on Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister. If he continues in the old way, then there will be problem. But if now that he has seen all that's happened, the governor has humbled himself, has eaten the humble pie. Everything is feasible. Once he calls a general meeting and say Melembe, the past is forgiven. Yes, he will not cede power completely. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay.
But everything is on his table. If he continues in the old way, he's going to have resistance because people will go to their local governments or their wards and hold it down, because this is what they do for a living. But if they call for a general meeting and they come back for unification, no victor, no vanquish. Yes, the FCT minister has won clearly. Yes, but it comes to Sim Fubara has gone back to his political family. Yes, he prefers to be there than to be outside. He wants to sleep well. Yes.
Did he have better options? Did he have better options? Because a couple of weeks ago, he had said his spirit had left the brick house. He had said, "Look at me, I'm fresher now." He made some of these comments, and now he's saying, "You know what? There is no price too big for peace in River State." So, could he have had other steps he could have taken? Maybe resignation, maybe wait for the state of emergency to elapse. I don't know. Do you think there were better options for him as a governor?
Well, for me, Sim Fubara is not me. They had several options. Me might have reacted differently to the situation.
Okay.
Because for me, I go for rule of law. I go for best practice. Today, now, River State is known to be the example that led to the violation of Section 109G. River State is known now today that River State has laid the foundation for you to commit what's that thing? Where you swear under oath and you come to deny the oath. There's a word for there's perjury.
Perjury, yeah.
You know?
Perjury, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I would have reacted differently. But even if I was in the same situation, I just told you something. Imagine that I made you own this radio station, and tomorrow you have conflict of interest. I don't think, by the way, I don't think you want to kill me. You understand? There is conscience. We're humans. Yeah, we're human beings, and we thought Tim could overcome that. Like a Wike would have acted differently. Innocent. He's Machiavellian in his approach, and he doesn't pretend. You know, it's either he likes you or he doesn't like you. But there's something people don't also know about. If Wike wants you, he comes for you. If he has to beg you, he will beg you. That I know about him. I saw him do that, make it second term. He reconciled, but so he has capacity for that.
Talking about
he does not pretend about his intentions. So, like I have said before, if he wants, it is on a stable night before him. He can deepen this relationship by, you know how we do it in the reverse politics. Once it says no victor, no vanquish, they know how they dispense favors. Don't forget that there's also an upside to this conflict. People made money. People got contracts in Abuja. People got things.
Now, talking about reconciliation and Wike's capacity to go for reconciliation, like you've mentioned, we've seen the news. The Simplified movement has been disbanded. I beg your pardon. And we saw over the weekend where the governor was like, everybody relax, do not look for appointments, do not look for positions. A lot of people have described that to mean that the governor has, thrown his supporters under the bus. Do you think the FCT minister will carry some of the supporters who helped the governor, push this fight for 2 years or almost 2 years? Would he bring them back to the family?
That's what I'm saying. This is politics. There are no permanent enemies. When Amechi became governor, Wike was Amechi. They practically, half of the political groups were not with them. Wike reached out to everybody. Now they're about to go into a general elections. It is within his purview to act now as a statesman. Once he gives orders, a lot of them, he rules with might now.
All right.
They know if he gathers if he calls for a general assembly and says it is over, everybody will fall in line.
I have to pause. I'm sorry. I have to pause you. I do have a commercial. After the commercial, we'll continue with this question. Please stay on the line.
The show continues after this break on Nigeria Info.
Crossfire on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
29 minutes gone past 8. We're still talking River State political reconciliation. And we've looked at several points. Eugene Abels joins me via the phone. I am Kalada Kurubatibo, Morning Crossfire, 92.3 Nigeria Info. All right. So I was asking Mr. Abels just before the break if the FCT minister, who looks like he's in control of the whole reconciliatory process, will, embrace some of the people who stood sturdy by the governor. I'm talking about names like Edison Eye, Chijoke Unwo. Do you think they still would have roles to play in this family that you've described, so to say?
Yes, beyond what Wike is doing at the federal level, it is also his duty to deliver River State in 2027.
Okay.
Now that the governor has come to him, and these boys have also shown capacity in their various responsibilities that they've been given by Sim Fubara. Naturally, like I said, it is within his purview now to act not in the old way. Because if you don't take them and give them, recognize them, they might not be as prominent as they are currently. If you recognize them in the spirit of we're making peace, it helps you to deliver the state easily. But if you leave them, naturally, other people will come for them. Don't forget there's a coalition building up. And these guys have shown capacity. They have followers. So it is for Wike now to step up as a statesman, a former governor, as their father, to say, Melembe, Melembe. Everybody back into the house. Everybody has hurt everybody. Everybody has annoyed. There is politics. They know it. They understand it.
Is this good for River State? Because I remember you saying earlier that you would have stood for the principle of law. But, where we are at this juncture, is it good for River State? What are the implications?
Well, considering River State, it's left for the people, for the people of River State to begin. They have seen all that has transpired. They've become, information have been availed them in the cost of water. It's for each port, each council, each local government, each individual to begin to ask themselves, are we having the kind of service we deserve, considering the amount of resources that we now know that the state owns? Why the politicians settle? How do we demand better service from them and accountability? This is the duty of everybody. But what we do, we sit back and hope for the politicians to commit harakiri, commit suicide by speaking for us. No, they will not speak for us. They will speak for their interests. It's just like the whole of Nigeria is expecting the coalition, Atiku, Obi, and so on, come and fight for their rights. NLC is coming, we are dumb, deaf and dumb. Nigerian Medical Association is in one corner. Nigerian Association is coming, we don't know. So we're expecting politicians to come and deliver justice and equity for us. No, it's not going to come. It is our responsibility as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to make demand on every tier of government for what we want. For instance, I'll show you a typical example. The most hypocritic group in Nigeria. Hey. The most hypocritic group in Nigeria that everybody fights for. But when it comes for them to fight for Nigeria, they begin to form deaf and dumb. It's the civil servants. There are two groups of them. One group is in uniform. Some bear arms, some wear wigs. The other group are not. They will not. They will hurt themselves to the extent that they will not make arrangements for their pensions after they leave office. They will agree to everything. The politicians who are transient, they come and go. They are the custodians of the country. They are the bureaucracy. I'll give you an example. For instance, in River State, are you aware that if the civil servants say, look, we have looked at the Constitution and the Public Service Act, we don't know anything about sole administrator. Do you know that man cannot function? But they're forming, we don't know. They're keeping quiet. They don't know that all of them signing that thing. If this government, I'm not saying they will, if this government loses the election, those questions will come up.
Okay, but now you've brought the sole administrator into the mix.
Yes, I brought it up.
Interesting. So you've seen the recent news about budgeting and all of that. And you said Rivers people should hold these people accountable. How can we hold them accountable?
Yes.
How do we hold them accountable? Yeah, because some people are arguing that the peace is better than the state of emergency, that, the governor did not have a plethora of choices, to choose from. There are those arguments. But how can the people hold these?
We first of all, we like mixing.
Hello?
We like mixing the words peace and justice. They're not the same thing.
Okay.
They're not the same thing. Whenever people break the law, you hear Nigerians talk about peace. No. Peace is your personal interest. Institutions are supposed to act without sentiments and without emotions. Don't forget that where this began from, the Section 109G. That's where it began from. And as long as we kept violating it, it led to the appointment of an aberration of the sole administrator, which is alien to the Constitution. Yes, so when you look at equity and justice, it has nothing to do with this. Naturally, if you know that if you break my head, you go to prison, there will be peace. So it's the people. The Rivers people, is their responsibility.
Talking about
you were asking me a question, how would they do it? How did the Aba women do it when they wanted to create warranties over them? And when they wanted to bypass King Jaja of Popopo, how did he do it?
Talking about aberrations, right? A non-indigen heading RESEC has become a source of controversy in Rivers State.
That shouldn't be our problem, where the man originates from. The question is, do you have the right to appoint? Are you the governor?
All right.
So that's the foundation. We shouldn't even talk about origin, because when you deal with the foundation, the other parts cannot come up. So it means that the president can wake up and sack the governor of Kano State and make Sheyi governor. That's what it means. You have set a precedent.
All right. We'll go straight to the phone lines. I get back to you. I still have
it means that the National Assembly can ratify illegalities. That the president can shoot you and the National Assembly will ratify it. You cannot put something on nothing. They're unconstitutional, they're illegal acts.
All right, Mr. Abels, I want to take a few calls. Like I said, I have a few more questions for you, happening on justice and, how the governor can also control or carry his followers along. But let's quickly take some few contributions from our listeners this morning. 0817-923 0002, first number to call with. 0817-923-0003, second number to call with. And 0817-923-0007, the third number to call with. Now, for WhatsApp, I can't take calls because I'm speaking with Mr. Abels via WhatsApp. You could only send me messages via WhatsApp, 0809-0306-416, 0809-0306-416. I've got Muriel, and Muriel is calling from Okrika. Muriel, welcome. Good morning. Quickly, straight to the point.
Hello, KDB, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
This is the Crystal woman.
All right, Muriel.
KDB, firstly, I don't even believe in that sentence or that word that they say peace is priceless, because I believe everything has a price, honestly. And before I go to my point, KDB, I want to please remind those that are even celebrating the FCT minister that this was necessarily not even a battle between the FCT minister and the governor. It was the presidency that was at faith with the governor. And it was the president that took all the actions. I don't know what the FCT minister promised him, but he was the one that directly engaged in this battle with our governor.
How do you mean he directly? How do you mean, Muriel? How did he directly battle the governor? I don't know. I don't get that part.
Because he was the one that was giving all the shots. Trust me, Kennedy, the FCT minister wouldn't have a chance if it was just him and the governor. Yes, he was control of the FCT, but it was the president that took all the action.
What action? But the governor himself has said. The governor himself had said, Muriel, it's a conversation. The governor himself had said that it is between Oga and me and my Oga, father and son. Those were comments the governor made.
That is a different issue, honestly. But when it comes to what is happening in the state, all the actions, all the sentiments, it was the president that called the shots, JDB. The governor, the minister did not call any shots. He did not give any order. It was the president. It is the president that is in charge of the constitution that is either going against it or using it against the governor.
All right.
You understand where she's coming from?
Yeah, I do.
But
if the president has...
We cannot truncate our future. We cannot put our future, the future of River State and the future of our children on the line of let it just repeat. There should be tens, and we should know the tens.
All right, Muriel, thank you. Muriel, I have to take another call. Thank you very much. Emeka from Elele, welcome. Quickly, go straight to the point. Let's maximize the time that we have.
My dear brother, good morning.
Good morning to you.
I keep on telling people, politics is not by emotion. There is a parable in my place. If you don't know someone that will kill you, you have not grown. Wike is a political oracle. He has been winning. You can't fight him. It is destiny. He's a professor of politics. Whether you like it or not, you must laugh to his structure. What Fubara has did to save River State. Because there is no any meaningful development again. So our people, former governor of River State, yes, he should please forgive every person and bring back River State as it used to be during 1999 and 2007. They should forgive all of them.
All right. Thank you very much, Emeka. I should forgive them, you say. Stanley from Elele Wall. Stanley, welcome. Let's get your thoughts, sir.
Yes, Canada. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
If you ask me, or in my own opinion, I don't see anything wrong a non-indigenous head in the racetrack. Understand? I believe the major reason is just for the person to be neutral. We don't want any partiality. We don't want anybody that will side anybody. That this person is siding in Wike's people, or this person is siding Saints people. Besides, the two leaders, they've come together, they've reconciled. All we want in River State at this point now is peace. And, Canada, all this while that this crisis has been on, honestly speaking, the development has been stalled in River State. And I keep saying it. Like, if you come to my community, in the governor's 100 days in office, he flagged off some projects, internal roads. Those roads were abandoned because of this crisis, because of Honorable Okechinda is with our leader. So then coming together now, all these things will be a thing of the past. I believe development, work will commence again in River State. So many things, we are lacking so many things as a result of this problem, crisis going on. So I will beg everybody to let's allow this peace, to reign in River State. These people, they've come together.
All right. Stanley, thank you.
If you look at our governor.
Thank you very much, Stanley. I'm sorry, I would have to move on. Let's let the peace reign, you say. Chima from Rumukuta, please go straight to the point. Let's get your thoughts.
Hello, Mr. Canada.
Yes, straight to the point, please.
Talking about peace now in River State. Peace is a very fragile thing. We're talking about bringing back those persons that aided this crisis. That me, I saw them in Talofa. As it starts now, we are still yet to manage the governor, sorry for that word, to see if he's going to allow the peace to stand the test of time. Because as it starts now, I will not say I'm going to judge him from what is happening because he doesn't have the power yet. It is when he has been bestowed back the power, we will now know whether the governor actually welcomes this peace. I am talking about the local government election again. I want to tell you that, as I said before, that to me, let them conduct the local government election first before they bring in the governor of River State. Because if they didn't do it, I don't believe that we River people can still withstand the kind of mayhem that Rivers State as a whole. To me, Mr. Canada, Rivers State is the bedrock of Nigerian democracy. Because I will tell you why. For the inception of democracy, there are some certain things we said the government can do because of the power that we think that it has. But this one that happened now has actually shown us that as a governor you can be suspended if you want to truncate the constitution. As a governor, there are some certain rights that you do not have. So I am very okay with this happening. My name is Chima.
All right, thank you, Chima. I've got Mufasa from NTA Road. Mufasa, welcome. Straight to the point, please.
Yeah, hi, Kalada. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
I'm on to James Man.
Sorry, you need to be audible. We can hear you.
Hello.
Better.
Hello.
Better.
Good. I said peace. We all want peace. Of course, we know that development cannot be achieved in an atmosphere of rancor and bitterness. But this is governance, and we are talking about democracy. And for me, any peace that undermines the overall interest of the people is unacceptable. That is my opinion, because we don't want to show whereby, it becomes, the peace of the graveyard. The people need to be sufficiently carried along. When you talk about reconciliation, what about other groups that are considered as people who did not support the governor before the election? Will they also be carried along with the reconciliation process? We are talking about the likes of Chief Austin Opara, the likes of Lee Maeba, and Uche Secondus and their group. Are they also not Rivers people? So when we are talking reconciliation, it has to be total, it has to be holistic, especially considering the fact that everyone in Rivers State has to be sufficiently carried along. What has brought us here and it's quite regrettable. But then again, if we are talking about peace without the people being put first, for me, it is completely unacceptable.
All right, thank you, Mufasa. Back to you, Mr. Abels. You've listened to some of the callers, but let's start with the last caller, most especially Mufasa from NTA Road. He has talked about, yes, peace is necessary for development, and we all agree development cannot happen in a place of rancor. But then he has also harped on the need for law or the principle of law to be followed, which you also mentioned earlier in your analysis. So if you were to choose at this point, would you go for development or would you go for the principle of law?
I think we're mixing it up. If you listen to the lady from Okrika,
yeah,
what she said, so everything that happened because the president refused to do his job.
Okay.
Yes, because if he had done the things he had done, acted dispassionately, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are today. Yes, because all of this will have been in perspective. He was clearly biased in...
Oh, you think the president was biased?
You know he was biased. He openly made it so, and it was clearly so. But that has gone by. And Mufasa has also raised the issues I have mentioned earlier on, that it is now that you, Jason Wike, the Honorable Minister, you have won. It is now within your purview to act as a statesman and reach out to all those who supported Steve Fubara. Because you've done it before, you can still do it. Don't forget that, like I said, if you do it, it makes it easier. 2027 becomes easier because your political family comes back intact. If you don't, the other side, the coalition will reach out to them and make offers to them.
So let me be a bit controversial. Celestine Omeya, for instance, the other leads, for instance, Lee Maeba, like Mufasa mentioned, do you see him reaching out to these people?
He has done it before. I said that when Amechi's second tenure, it was Wike that reached out to all those who were quarreling with Amechi, including some of the names you have mentioned here. In politics, nothing is permanent. They know how to reach set. If Wike wants to settle with them, he will reach out to them and he will settle with them. And it makes his work easier in delivering Rivers State and being proactive here. But if he decides to ride the high horse, he has seen resistance. I know that when our own biological children these days look at us in the eyes at the age of 6 and ask you why. Then you're talking about grown adults with resources. Yes, so this is what they do for a living. So if you allow them, other people will reach out to them and adopt them.
All right.
Yeah. So now that the governor has eating the humble pie publicly before the world, before animate and inanimate things, before the spiritual realm and the physical realm. It is him now to rise to the mic, to step to the microphone and reach out to all sides. He can bring them. All of this is easy to achieve in the spirit of no victory, no vanquish, according to General. Go on.
Okay. So one final question so we can round off the conversation. Let's go back to the part of the governor. How does he carry his followers? Because since Saturday, the mood in his camp has been very solemn. It looks like, oh my goodness. How does he carry them? Because a lot of them are emotional. I don't know if you saw the video online when he was addressing them and say, you know what, let's not push anymore. Let's accept peace. You cannot deny what Nyesom Wike did for me to become governor. People like, I don't want to continue calling names, but a lot of names are out there. How should he carry them? Because politics is about interest, and a lot of them invested in making sure, that the fight was not a bad loss for the governor. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that one. I think we've lost connection, and we would have to reconnect with Mr. Eugene Abels. But while I'm waiting for that, clever, sunny Rivers State politics, there is no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, but permanent killing of Rivers people. And the bitter truth is that the reconciliation between the governor and the FCT minister is not for the interest of Rivers people. Clever Sunny, thank you very much for that one. And this one says, thanks to your speaker. My fear is if those simplified leaders are not reintegrated, they may be the bride for the coalition or opposition to the governor. The peace should be all-inclusive and unite all, as it were. I mean, for Ernest with that one there. And there is this one from Lorenzo Delight, and is texting from somewhere in Eche. Kudos to the judge that delivered the judgment against setting up. Okay, I think that's for the newspaper review. I'm going to skip that one. Let's see this message. And this message says, man of the people, I've not heard from Chief Tony Kocha. We're not talking about Tony Kocha at this point. Don Dada from Umebule says, it is unfortunate that the governor has no choice than to accept the 4 conditions that are unpleasant to him. It is what it is. All right, Don Dada, thank you. And Melody Uniport says, glad to hear the voice of Oga Eugene Abel. Oga Abel, where? Okay, let's leave the pleasantries. We don't have enough time. He said, don't you think Governor Sim should have treated his supporters with more respect? Don't you think the federal government is using Rivers State as a political test tube for illegality and recklessness? Don't you think the emergency case should be pushed to logical conclusion for future purpose? What is your advice in the face of all of these? All right, I'm going to reconnect with Eugene one last time, and then we will wrap things up, and we will get the final thoughts of Eugene. Network is really difficult at this point and unstable. But while I'm waiting for the reconnection, this one is from Blessed from Ali. He says, to bring a non-indigent to handle RESEC affairs in Rivers State is bad, because good other states in Nigeria, no non-indigent is being the chairman of the state of election affairs. Rivers citizens are experiencing backwardness in our amiable state due to insincerity of some of our political leaders in the state. Reconciliation is one-sided, you said. All right, thank you very much. All right, my network is really, really terrible at this point. So I'm going to try reconnecting. I do not have enough time, but I'm going to try reconnecting. The network is really unstable, but if I cannot, we would have to step on the brakes at this point and make way for other programmings. Remember, Hello, Port Harcourt with Jude Omamigbe is up next, and I'm done for today. But let's continue with the conversations tomorrow. Remember that what we do here is try to look at issues and talk solutions. And of course, 92.3 Nigeria Info is the place to be. I am Kalada Korubatibo. Thank you for joining the conversation. For everyone who has contributed and who tried to contribute, thank you very much. I do appreciate your efforts.